Hey, my name is Dean Lamb. I play in the technical death metal band Archspire from Vancouver, Canada, and we are going to be in Australia doing a headlining tour pretty soon in October 2023. We're very, very excited about it. And with support, we have the band Ingested and Werewolves. So hopefully you see you there.
Beautiful, Dean. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, buddy. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, as you say, Archspire returned to Australia this October for a run of shows starting in Brisbane on October the 11th, before hitting Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide, and then finishing in Perth on October 17th. So, I know it's still a month
Yeah,
away, mate, but have you packed yet? Are you packed and ready to go?
Oh my goodness. The tour is only a month away and we are very, very excited. We haven't totally packed yet, but what we did recently, we just got back from a tour in Europe. So we were just across Europe doing festivals. At this point, the time of this recording, I think we've been home for like 3 weeks, maybe something like that. And we leave really, really soon to go to Japan and Australia immediately afterwards. And the craziest thing is that our vocalist is also getting married in Australia at the end of the tour.
Wow.
And so we have like a nutso trip coming up. I'm very, very excited about it. But the last time we were in Australia was 2018 supporting Psycroptic, who are like our bros. Like we absolutely love those dudes. And so, it's really cool to be able to go back and headline. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Coming from a band we play such a niche kind of style of music, and to be able to go halfway across the world and actually like headline show somewhere and have people care in any way, it makes us very, very excited. So yeah, and Australian fans are just like some of the best we've ever met. So yeah, we couldn't be more excited.
It's a pretty grueling run of 6 shows in 7 days. So, sorts of things you do to mentally and physically prepare for a run of shows like that.
6 shows in 7 days. Yeah, the amount of flights that you have to do is, I mean, it's pretty staggering. Over the course of the week, we'll fly every single day pretty much. I think we have one show where we drive between the two cities, but other than that, it's fly, 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 which is pretty crazy. Mentally, you have to be ready to get lobby call at about 3, 4, 5 in the morning some days, and just fly every single day. Try to get sleep wherever you can. But I mean, it's like the whole experience to go to some place that is like for us really, really far away and really interesting. It's really cool. One of my favorite things about Australia is the wildlife. The birds that I saw last time when I was in Australia blew my mind, dude. Even just the regular, what you guys call bin chickens. I mean, even just those birds, I'm like, what the hell is that thing, dude? Like every single, it was super cool. So yeah, I mean, the wildlife there, yeah, it's, you get tired. I mean, sure, I'm not going to be sitting here and be like, I'm going to be tired. Like, yes, of course, but we're going to have as much fun as we can.
You were last out here in 2018. So, what's changed with the band since then?
Yes. So the last time we were there was in 2018. Here's what's happened since then. So we were supporting at that time our album Relentless Mutation, which was out on Season of Mist Records back in 2017. Since then, we put out an album, and then also the world shut down. So now we're back after 5 years, which is nuts. I mean, the amount of markets that we tour where we don't hit it more than the amount of markets that we hit more often than once every 5 years. I mean, most of them. I mean, most of the ones we hit, Europe, we do at least once a year generally. US, Canada. I mean, most of the time we hit these markets lots. With Australia, it feels like a major market for us, and we just rarely get to go. So what I think has happened in the interim between the last tour and this one is we've built up a bit bigger of a fan base, and Australia seems to me like a great market for extreme death metal. And there's something, I don't know, unique about that. It's really interesting when a country just, they give you the vibe that they like your style of music more. I don't really know how that comes to be. I imagine that you have Thy Art Is Murder, you have Psycroptic, you have so many great bands in the genre from Australia that have sort of beefed up the scene, the local scene there. But yeah, in terms of us, we're 5 years older. We've all lost our hair, and we look considerably worse. So yeah, prepare yourselves for just hideous men on stage. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, cool. So, what can Australian fans expect from this run of shows?
This time we're playing plenty of new music. So if you saw us last time, we played a lot of stuff from our older catalog. Now we focus quite a bit on newer songs, and these are songs that we're extremely proud of, mostly from our last release, Bleed the Future. So if you like that album, I think you're going to like what you hear when you come see us live.
You guys play a brand of technical death metal, and the tour is dubbed the Tech Trek Australia Tour. So just how technical are things going to get, brother?
All right, so yes, the tour is called Tech Trek Australia, and this is basically our branded headliner tour. We've been doing these tours since, I don't even know, 2012 maybe? What we like to do is sort of give the audience an expectation of what they're going to be able to hear when they come see us live, and this is a technical death metal party, basically. So we've been doing them enough, and what we love to do is include a band or two or three that sort of fit the vibe and really support the entire experience. So we've picked to have along with us on this tour a Werewolves, a local Australian band. It has Dave Haley from Psycroptic on drums, and the UK deathcore band Ingested. Both of these bands are really, really awesome. They sort of both reflect certain aspects of our band without going too much over the same treaded ground. So we are basically, as much as we possibly can, we try to be the fastest band in the world. This is our goal, the fastest, most technical band that we can possibly be, while still trying to write music that is how I guess you could say listenable. I wouldn't say it's necessarily accessible, because if you've heard it before, it's just as fast as we can play, and then we'll throw in a couple melodies that maybe hopefully you like. I don't know. It gets about as technical as if you like really, really fast drums, if you like really fast guitar playing with lots of strings on there, and if you like speed rap mixed with death metal, I think you're going to enjoy it. And that's a really unique kind of weird blend. Maybe even throw a little bit of classical music in there. The whole thing is kind of strange. So if you like what you're hearing me describe, some weird mishmash of music, then hopefully you can check it out.
Sounds intriguing. So is it actually difficult for you guys to play your music live while having to actually play such intricate notes at the same time?
So our style of music is not necessarily easy to play. Here's the thing: we practice quite a bit at home. We make sure to prep quite a bit for these kinds of tours. And what we also do is we play with the system where we can we basically put on headphones, in-ear monitors on stage, and we have wireless rack units and all this kind of gear so that we can hear ourselves as absolutely clear as possible. So this is something that's very, very important to us. We want to put on a live show that reflects the album, so that when you listen to the album, you hear us live, you go, that actually sounds pretty similar. Now, of course, in a live setting, you're always in a venue. It's a different vibe. It's more energized. It's more raw, all that kind of stuff. But what we love to do is we love to play a show and have people say, "Well, that sounds exactly like the album." Now, it's not always possible. Sometimes I'll be the first one to say I'll mess up plenty on stage, but let's say hopefully I'm playing fast enough, or maybe you don't notice some of the wrong notes but regardless of all that, we're going to do our best to play as fast as our tiny little fingers and limbs will allow us to.
Archspire formed in Vancouver Beach back in 2007, mate. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in?
So the band Archspire actually formed in 2009 here in Vancouver. Here's what we joined. Here's what we did. When we first started the band, we wanted to mimic bands like, and this is extreme death metal kind of stuff here. There's bands like Origin, bands like Flesh God Apocalypse. There's a band called Brain Drill, a band called The Faceless, a band called Immolation, all these extreme death metal bands. That's what we wanted to do. And we found that there wasn't a lot of other similarly minded groups in Vancouver at the time. And we thought, you know what? This is what we all want. There's only a small amount of us that really, for lack of a better word, give a shit about this kind of music here. We want to do this. We want to play as fast as we can. We want to play very, very technical music. So let's do it, and let's push as absolutely hard as possible. And being in Canada, it's not nearly the type of isolation that you have in certain Australian cities like Perth, or if you go down to Hobart in Tasmania or something. But being in this side of Canada, it is kind of tough because either you go down into America to tour, but that's a whole big thing of paperwork and expenses, or you go all the way across Canada, which takes days and days and days of driving. So one of the things that's tough about starting a band where we are here in Western Canada in Vancouver, BC, it's just a little bit tough to get going. For us, we decided to tour across Canada quite a few times, and that's where we met amazing, like-minded individuals, especially in Quebec, specifically Montreal. You have Beyond Creation, you have bands like Cryptopsy, you have bands like Despised Icon, all of these amazing death metal bands, and that's kind of where the epicenter of this style of music is. In Vancouver, Western Canada, it doesn't really exist quite as much. Now, there are more and more bands nowadays, and we love to hear bands that are from Western Canada that are doing extreme death metal, deathcore, anything really that's extreme. But at the time, there wasn't really much that was starting up. One thing that we love here in Vancouver is we're also the birthplace of bands like Strapping a Lad or Zimmer's Hole or 3 Inches of Blood, and those are all great bands, but those are kind of like a generation before us. So we were kind of like in the middle, in the lull of things as it goes, as far as death metal goes. But now, I mean, the scene is booming, and we love to see it. We love to see bands that we know tour more and more, especially just extreme as possible, and try to push that into more people's awareness, so we can all kind of get a little bit more successful. Every band that does it helps everybody else out.
So what was your early vision for the band back then, and how has it changed since?
Our first vision for the band was to be as technical as possible, as fast as possible, and that is it. And since then, all we've done is add a couple of sprinklings of melody, and let's hope that people like it. But yeah, for the most part, it hasn't changed. We haven't really changed what we're going for. We're still the same group of dudes that started writing in a disgusting, damp, moldy jam space, and not much has changed since then.
So you guys released your last album, Bleed the Future, back in 2021. So you're going to have any new tracks or any new music to test out on Australian fans?
So the last album we released, yes, was in 2021. It was called Bleed the Future. At this point, we are still in the throes of writing. We are trying our best to write as much music as possible, but we have been quite busy on tour. So when we get back from this tour, we're going to continue writing. Since our last tour, we've been writing. At the current time, we do not have any new songs to play, but hopefully, here's what my hope is. You haven't heard this stuff live because we haven't been in Australia since this album has come out. So if you like the album, I think you're going to enjoy what you hear.
Okay, well, before we let you go, we're just going to have to ask you a couple of questions. Have you started up a new Spotify playlist, 3 of them, in fact, made up from artists that we speak to? So can I get you to give me songs from bands, any band that you've been in over the years? One for a playlist to get the party started, one for a playlist to save your marriage, and the other for a playlist to potentially end your marriage. So
and these are just Archspire songs?
Yeah, just a way of getting your music out there. Just a bit of a fun way to do it.
Okay, one to save your marriage, one to end your marriage, and the last one, and then the last one is what? Started. Okay, party started, save your marriage, end your marriage. Oh my goodness. Okay. The song that I would suggest from our catalog to get the party started, I'm going to give you sort of it's a song that I consider a bit of a warm-up. This is like an introduction. This is not dipping your toes entirely we're not getting in the deep end. We're just kind of putting twinkling our toes here in the shallow end. So the song is called The Mimic Well. It's from our album Relentless Mutation. One to save our marriage, there's some romantic kind of aspect about this song. If you're looking to save your marriage, you feel like you're on the rocks. You have issues you want to work out, and you want to bring this spark back. You want to light the spark again. The song called A Dark Horizontal, that has a nice romantic middle, and that's what you need. You want to reignite the passion in your marriage. And one to end your marriage, we're going to use the song Drone Corpse Aviator, because it's just an obnoxious song, and there's no way anybody's going to want to listen to that when you're going to force people to listen to it. Honestly, they're going to leave. I think it's going to be too extreme for most people. So,
beautiful. All right, Dan. Well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. Been a pleasure speaking.
Thank you, buddy.
Us spearheaders,
yeah, for sure.
Starting October the 11th, and I'll probably pop along to the Brisbane show and say good day.